Hello everybody, my name is Renee and welcome to the Go Within channel where I help people to go within themselves to find their own answers. Thank you for joining me for today's life coaching topic. And the topic today is about understanding the cycle of abusive relationships. I really hesitated to do a video on this topic because it is loaded with pain and strong feelings, and this is not an easy topic to talk about. It's also a topic that is very deep and complex and not something I can cover completely in a short video. So I'm going to be sharing a couple things with you that are just highlighting some of the points and dynamics that go on in an abusive relationship. Sometimes we may find ourselves in an intimate relationship with someone that started out looking really positive and hopeful and healthy, and it becomes something very, very different. Sometimes the relationships start out good, they take a big turn and they turn into something very unhealthy, damaging, destructive, and outright abusive. And the abuse can take several forms. Obviously, physical abuse, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, and name calling, or any kind of psychological abuse. The dynamic I want to talk about today is one that is so common, and it also surrounds relationships that have an element of addiction in them. I have found myself in this situation before, and I know that many of you have too. And it's painful, and it's a terrible place to be in. What often happens is the person who is involved in addiction or is involved in the abusive behavior, or both, they don't realize what they are doing. They can't admit to themselves that what they are doing is hurtful, except maybe for a very brief time that they have moments of clarity and they can see what they're doing and how their behavior is damaging. So what often happens is they engage and act out their pain. Instead of feeling their pain and dealing with it in a healthy way, they act out and inflict their pain on you or on others, children nearby, or animals. And then after the explosion, there is some time where they have some time to think, and they perhaps maybe come back to you and apologize, and they tell you how you don't deserve it, how you aren't worthy of that, how you deserve so much better, and how sorry they are. And at that point, you having been the recipient of that, and there's a part of you that wants that love back in the relationship, that wants things to be going well, that while you're both hurt and missing the good parts and the good potential in the relationship, that part of you is craving that love again. And that's the hook. That's the part of you that can easily fall back into saying, okay, I forgive you. Okay, I believe in you, and I know I want you, and I hope that you will get back on track and stop doing this harmful, destructive behavior. But then what happens is, in a matter of time, and if you've been through this cycle, you know that you could probably set your watch or set a date on the calendar, say, I know it's every 2 weeks, or it's every couple days, or every 24 hours even, that person will engage in that behavior again, break your heart again, and then they'll become remorseful. They'll have a brief moment of clarity, maybe cry, maybe realize what they did was so harmful to you, but then they quickly get lost again, and they go back to that behavior that again is betrayal and destructive and heartbreaking. And then on it goes, and it will keep going on until the cycle breaks by you leaving. Clearly that person has broken boundaries. Clearly the other person does not have the capability to look at themselves. And so often when people are acting out and inflicting this pain on you, they can't look at themselves. And that's the hardest thing, one of them. Because any person who is acting out pain and hurting you clearly does not love themselves, clearly hates themselves. Because if they loved themselves, they wouldn't be doing this. Or if they did make a mistake, they would apologize, make amends, and turn around and say, what can I do to make this better? I'm so sorry. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's how I'm going to handle these feelings when they come up next time. But if there is no conversation about that, there is no talk about that, nothing. And instead what they do is keep re-engaging in that behavior again and again and again, you gotta leave. And that is the hardest thing, especially if you have children, it becomes even harder. But going back to what I was saying, it's the inability to look at that themselves. And if someone already feels bad about themselves, and they may not even be aware that they feel bad about themselves, for them to realize that what they're doing is hurting you and hurtful and damaging to themselves and everyone around them will make them feel even worse. Or at least that's how a part of them perceives it, so they don't even go there at all. If someone isn't strong enough to look at their behavior and to realize that this is destructive, and when they already feel bad, the idea is that if I realize I'm doing something bad, I'm just going to feel worse and I can't handle it. So I'm not even going to, a part of them won't even, of their psyche, won't even let themselves acknowledge that. The truth is that realizing that the behavior is destructive would actually free them. It would help them rise above it, not make them feel worse. But that's where the blind spot is. And the sad thing is that if you are the victim of abuse, there is nothing you can do or say, you can't act perfectly enough to make that behavior stop. And that's the sad thing, because you may find, like I said, that you are holding on to that good in the relationship, because no one person is all bad, usually not. There's usually some good, and that's what you are holding on to and wishing that could come back, because that's what you want, that love, that communication, that openness, and that intimacy. And it has just been killed. And for something to die like that is truly, truly heartbreaking. So the only thing you can do is to save yourself. You cannot save the other person if they're going down a destructive path, hurting themselves, hurting you, hurting other people, hurting children. There's nothing you can do but save yourself. Take care of yourself, respect and honor yourself, because clearly that person is not doing that for you. They are not giving you what you deserve. And if they're doing that to you, they're not respecting you, and they're not respecting themselves. It has to start with them first, but they need to know that. And if they don't know that, there's nothing that you can do about it. No, like the most perfect communication and the perfect love and the perfect way of handling it will never get it through to them until they are ready to see their behavior. And they have to get to that point on their own, unfortunately. If they're not at that point, the only thing you can do is to save yourself. And the process of letting something good die is something that takes time, a lot of tears. I would say a lot of talking and processing, counseling. It takes time to heal and to let yourself grieve. Grieving sucks. I've been through a lot of it. But grieving is a necessary part. Forgiveness requires that something die. And it may be that something can transform and change. It may mean that something has to completely end. And this is not a process that is easy. It's not something you can fast forward through. It has to be lived and experienced and felt. So my heart goes out to you if you are the person in this situation. And maintain always your self-respect. Always draw those boundaries. And if you cross your own boundary, don't beat yourself up. Learn from it. Keep going. Because the process of setting boundaries, especially when they are getting knocked down by someone who's being abusive or engaging in addictive behavior, the process of walking through that and maintaining boundaries is a minefield. So don't beat yourself up. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel like this is your fault. You are not responsible for the actions of others. You are only responsible for yours. So be kind and loving to yourself. You may not be getting that love that you deserve or once had from the other person, but there is hope that you can have that in the future. Learn everything you can from this situation. Grow from it. but don't beat yourself up. Because maybe that's what you've done all too much in the past, is beating yourself up, being nasty and mean to yourself. No good will come from that. Just move forward and move into the light and going into your purpose, your passion, and the good. Don't stay in the darkness, and love yourself. All right? I know this is a hard topic, but is one that really needs to be talked about. And I hope that this has helped. I really do. This is a really hard thing, and it happens all the time. And when we don't even foresee it coming sometimes. So, be good to yourself, be kind, love yourself. All right, I'm with you. And thank you for watching, and I hope you will like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.